what do we know right now? Well, we know it looks pretty bad for Paul Pelosi. What's this guy doing in your home? There's cameras, security detail. On the phone, we have cell phone. We have the 911 call stuff where Paul Pelosi's saying he's a friend. He's calling him a friend, but we don't know. Look, we don't know. We know it looks pretty bad. What is this, some kind of gay hookup thing that went wrong? Drugs? We don't know. In your underwear with a strange man at 2 a.m. is generally not a situation most men find themselves in. But okay, we don't know. Let's at least settle on we don't know. Well, remember the narrative we were just talking about? We're watching it happen again in real time. Just like happened in Ferguson, Missouri, just like happened for COVID, St. George Floyd, just like happened with the Covington kids, just like happened with 1,000 other stories. We're watching the system set a narrative early for the story that half the country will believe in. I heard from someone the other day, and her father's a Democrat, and was in her home and was on a phone call with her uncle, so her father's brother. And her father couldn't hear, so he put the phone on speaker. Her father put the phone on speakerphone, started talking to her uncle, and they were discussing the Paul Pelosi attack. And you know what they came up with? That Trump was somehow behind the attack on Paul Pelosi. Here's former President Barack Obama.
I want to take a moment to say a prayer for a friend of mine, Mr. Paul Pelosi. When we don't just disagree with people, but we start demonizing them, making wild, crazy allegations about them, that creates a dangerous climate. And if elected officials don't do more to explicitly reject that kind of rhetoric, if they tacitly support it or encourage their supporters to stand outside voting places armed with guns and dressed in tactical gear, more people can get hurt.
Yeah. Got to be careful with that rhetoric, don't you? I mean, imagine if you had, the president himself get up on national TV and call MAGA Republicans a threat to the democracy. Imagine if something like that happened. Boy, imagine the kind of environment that would create. Imagine if the entire Democratic Party, academia, the media spent 6 years, a decade, describing Republicans as Nazis and white supremacists. Imagine the kind of environment that would create. But back to the narrative, it wasn't just former President Barack Obama. Current President Joe Biden had this to say.
And what makes us think the one party can talk about stolen elections, COVID being a hoax, there's all a bunch of lies, and it not affect people who may not be so well balanced? What makes us think that it's not going to corrode the political climate? Enough is enough is enough. Every person of good conscience needs to clearly and unambiguously stand up against the violence in our politics, regardless what your politics are.
Yeah. 395. Now, I may be a little dated because I believe the article, courtesy of Breitbart, was a few months ago, maybe 6 months ago, but 395 incidents of assault and murder against Trump supporters by the leftists in this country. Not one word from Joe Biden about it. Paul Pelosi gets beaten by a vegan Black Lives Matter hippie in his home who may or may not have been invited there, and all of a sudden it's your fault, and it's my fault. The media is running with it too. Now, I know you're not believing that. You're not going to believe that narrative. I know you're not, but how many will? What percentage of the country will believe it? And how badly does it damage the country when a high enough percentage of the people in this country believe this lie all the time? How much does it damage a nation when so many Americans believe, or they frankly live in a world that is not real at all.
Don't miss Jesse Kelly Breaks History, The Forgotten Genocide, the first episode of a new series available now exclusively for First TV supporters. Visit the First TV app or thefirsttv.com to subscribe and start watching today.